War Eagle War Rapport family. I'm your host, C-Dub, and we have a lot to talk about today. Auburn suffers a tough loss of Mississippi State, and Ike and B. Will join me to review that game. We'll give out player grades, discuss the University Ace hardware tools of the game, and also discuss what we saw elsewhere in college football on yesterday. So, guys, sit back, get your weight up, because your weekend tailgate starts right now.
You are now listening to a War Rapport Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by University Ace Hardware. It's your boy, Ike Jones. Be Will, C-Dub, Mike G. Get ready, sit on back as we bring you the War Rapport Weekend Tailgate.
War Eagle, everyone. Happy Somber Sunday, if there's such a thing. Welcome to the latest Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by our good friends at University Ace Hardware. We appreciate those guys for being big sponsors of the War Rapport. And guys, please support them. If you're ever in the Auburn area, please stop by 2101 East University Drive. Drop in and let them know that your friends at the War Rapport sent you. Guys, also, if you're watching this, whether it's on replay or live, please be sure to help us out by sharing this video on social media, Facebook, Twitter. Use hashtag #GetYourWeightUp so people can find us and we can grow our community. Also, guys, Ike is here to tell you about the perks of becoming an insider with us. Ike, take it away, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. You all know what the business is, man. You need to become a member of the War Rapport supporter level. We definitely have some things for you on game day. If you are not able to chat on game day, it's probably because you're not a member. But you insiders are tomorrow. We are going to get into this film from this game. It's going to be an interesting film review. We got a lot of special things coming up for you for basketball season as well. So make sure you support the War Rapport by becoming an insider. $5.99 is what will happen, is what will take to make that happen for you. We are also supporting Lee County Humane Society. Your donations always important to help us get to that ever-pressing goal of helping to save those puppies. And as promised, we're giving away this t-shirt today. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments. He Gone t-shirt is going to be given away tomorrow. We will have that available in the store for you to purchase. But if you want to be the first person in the War Rapport family to get the He Gone t-shirt, make sure you hashtag get your weight up in the comments. We will draw at the 1 hour mark.
Appreciate that, sir. Also, want to appreciate JT Martin. Appreciate the super chat, sir. And appreciate everyone joining live with us. I know it's tough to kind of join in and then remain engaged. So we appreciate our War Rapport community for hanging out with us on a Sunday, the day after a disappointing game. Tough loss, of course. So thanks to you guys again. I was kind of in and out. Being in the press box, you can't really talk a whole lot about the game. Mike G's not here with us, of course. He'll be back throughout the week, this upcoming week. But I do want to give some of my thoughts. I actually did take the time to look at the game again. Yes, I'm a glutton for punishment. I do want to congratulate Mississippi State on a hard-fought game. From the coaching staff to the players, that's what you want to see out of your team. When they get down, they're able to recalibrate, refocus, reset, adjust, and they played an amazing game. Will Rogers is an amazing quarterback. Was very impressed with him. And I think also what's flies under the radar is Mississippi State's defense. Now, going into this game, I already made mention of the fact that they're top 15 in the nation in rush defense, and they proved that yesterday. They were very disciplined and sound against the running game, and they couldn't allow us to get anything going on the ground for real. So we cut off a few good runs here and there, but they did a really good job defensively. So before we get into breaking down what happened with our team, we do have to give kudos. I was impressed with some of the things I saw with Mississippi State. And I definitely wanted to point that out. People are also asking about Bo Nix, how serious his injury is. We don't know. We're hearing things just like you guys are hearing it, and we have alluded to guys being injured even in the past, and that has led just down a rabbit hole of suspicion. Well, how do you know this? How do you know that? Well, we don't. And so as it pertains to something like Bo's injury, we're not going to go there as it pertains to that. So we'll find out as you guys find out, and then we'll discuss it as that. Also, there was also comments about people making mention about, and you guys talked about it yesterday, but comments about Bo Nix making mention of the crowd noise, and the people actually wrote articles on it, and this is such a non-story. Such a non-story.
I think people are making way too much out of his comments.
Way too much of it. Way too much of it. And he's not, I mean, Bo wasn't wrong. Like, they asked him what was different about the second half, and he mentioned, well, one of the things that stood out was crowd noise. Well, name a stadium in America where the opposing team scores 40 points straight and the energy isn't sucked out of the stadium.
Yeah.
Find one. This is a non-story, and I feel like that was just Bo answering the question. Bo wasn't trying to allude or imply or say anything to that nature. So that's a non-story there. I do think with the offense, with our coaching staff looking at this, we'll talk about grades, and I'll give my opinion on this coaching staff. I think people have to step away from the ledge a little bit.
Good God, please.
They have to step away. I was arguing with someone in the chat room, the comments section, that there's two sides to this. People like to conflate the two. If we're critical of the coaching staff, that means we're down on them. Not necessarily. And even after this game, believe it or not, I'm not down on this coaching staff. Right. But that doesn't stop us from being critical of some decisions that have been made. Right. So I think for those who are already want certain coaches fired or whatever, you're going to have to relax, guys. You're going to have to relax. There is still a lot to be, and I'll point it out when I mention some of the things that I do like with when we break down the different facets of the game, from coaching, special teams, offense, and defense. I do think that these coaches have some decisions to make about our identity for the rest of the season as it pertains to offense and how we play defense, because we have some personnel gaps in order for them to do the things that they want to do. 10 games in, we are who we are at this point. If there's something that we haven't been able to do, we can't do it, guys. So let's stop thinking it's going to happen this year. So that's I think the coaching staff has to kind of really come to grips with what we're trying to do offensively, on defense, and the whole nine. That's my whole spiel. I'll get more without giving away some of my points. We'll talk later on. But B. Will, how are you feeling after that game? It's a day later. You're able to kind of get the emotions out. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling balanced, if that's a way to feel, because before last Wednesday I told y'all I was at peace. The A&M game, because of what it meant for the SEC West, was our opportunity to do something special. Losing that game, even with having to play before we played Mississippi State, before we played South Carolina, and before we played Bama, that was going to determine whether or not offensively we would be able to do things, move the ball, and score points against a defense that had seen everything we had done to that point. We could not. We have had trouble doing that in the second half at least, and in the first half against A&M as well. And I think it's because we have hit what is our current ceiling with this staff, their system, and the personnel to run it. Now, it's not that we are not talented. To be clear here, we have talent on this team. This talent was previously underdeveloped, was not developed to the point it should have been to be playing big boy football in the conference where we play. So that was the main point. I think we have solved that problem with our current coaching staff. We are getting coached. We are playing better. Two places where we are pretty much static from the talent we had last year. We have played better wide receiver and offensive line. And I know you're going, hey, y'all are dropping balls as a wide receiver. Yeah, we're dropping a lot of balls, but you know what we're doing? Running routes. We are blocking better.
That's a fact. That's a fact too.
we are playing the position more fundamentally sound. Right. We are running an offensive system that's actually a system. And even though it didn't show through this year with the type of results that we have been hoping with the wide receivers, the groundwork is being laid right now. We are getting better at these positions, even if the results don't dictate that. So I'm pleased with that. That's why I'm at peace with it, because the winning 6 this year with what is a much more balanced, we used to be able to count on Mississippi State and Arkansas being easy W's, man. This isn't the same league. This is not the same league. Right. There is not the same floor. The floor has been raised in the SEC West. And
I was about to say, not in the SEC overall. SEC is still trash.
How fun would it be to have to get Missouri, Vanderbilt, and South Carolina in conference every year, especially this year? Oh, my. Anyway.
Which is all the more reason why Florida is so disappointing. But anyway.
Really, very much. Facts. So because of all those things, I'm not so down on us even losing that game, because at that point in the at this point in the season, that game is indicative of who we are almost as much as the wins have been to this point. And what I mean by that is we do have deficiencies. We have had weaknesses, and the coaches, honestly, I'm more impressed with what we did the previous 4 games after seeing if we could always be manipulated into playing this type of game we played yesterday. Then that means they did a hell of a job coaching those last 4 weeks. They were able to sometimes hide, sometimes kind of make $1 out of 15 cents with the personnel that they had to run their system, and that's a credit to them. I think this was the first game where we talked about it on the post game. We got. The coaches got. Derek Mason, they showed a snapshot of him up in the booth, and that was the first time I saw him looking like he got me. It looked like Mike Leach got Mason. And that's it. Sometimes you are going to get got. Your decisions, your strategy, your scheme is not going to be the right decision, strategy, scheme for the game, and that's okay. What fans need to understand, and what I hope all our fans that are here with us talking about it understand, is that we were not going to win a national championship this year. That was not going to happen. The best case is that we could get back to an SEC championship game. Our performance yesterday took that off the table. Now let's rewind back to what we expected to happen before the season started. People, 7-5, 8-4, 9-3, some expectations elsewhere as low as 6-6. I realized that 9 days ago on Friday, before we played Texas A&M, a lot was possible. It's not possible anymore. We went from the land of all positive and best case scenario back to reality. And that reality is there was a lot that needed to be improved. It is getting improved. There is a culture that needed to be reset. It is getting reset. In the first year of coaching changeovers, things like this will happen, can happen. This is part of a process to hopefully get you to where you're playing more sound, more fundamental, and more consistent year in and year out. But this is year 1. We saw what a great year 1 ended up being under Gus Malzahn. It meant nothing for the long run. There was nothing that we gained later after we got to a national championship game. It was some luck, some luck with personnel, some luck with the bounce of the ball. And then we got almost nothing, some good victories in there, but we haven't accomplished anything like that since then. So do not get upset. Don't get so down when we don't have a miraculous first year. Every year we want to be good. Yes, we get that. It wasn't going to happen this year. We had a chance 10 days ago. It was all good just a week ago. Jay-Z fans, what up? It's not. This is not what that is, okay? So we got to take a breath. We got to look at what we have gotten better at. Let's rejoice. Let's be happy about that. Let's focus on what can get better going forward. We had a lot of recruits at this game. And even though it looked terrible to give up that lead, a lot of guys are talking to the recruiting people and saying, I see where I can fit in here. That's a win. I see why you might need me. That is a win because we need to get those guys in. You can't out-coach recruiting. We got to look at what we got positive right here. And that's where I'm at. I'm not. It is not a rainy, cloudy day here. at the B Will household. It's all good. We're getting better, and that's what we wanted out of this coach. So I'm okay.
Talk to me, Ike. How are you feeling?
I'm going to grab this super chat and then I'm going to say a little something. JT Martin, appreciate this. Not calling for the coach's firing, but that press conference disappointed me. Didn't seem like our head coach was taking much responsibility. I haven't even really watched the presser, to be honest with you, and we'll talk about kind of what the remainder of my day looked like yesterday later. Let me say this. Yesterday, I did a lot of fan stuff, right? I was upset. So I said a lot of things. I'm not going to apologize for anything I said yesterday. I meant every word of it. So this is not me coming back to be contrite about it. I meant every word of what I said yesterday. What I am going to take, though, is enough time to give some appreciation to those players, which I didn't do enough of yesterday.
Yeah.
Those players played their heart out. The result wasn't what we wanted. I don't feel like anybody quit on the team or any of that stuff. I still have my questions about what happened during the game, but I'll start with saying Bo Nix's super gutsy performance to try to continue to come out there and show up for the team in the second half, playing injured. Kobe Hudson having a great game, coming back after getting absolutely obliterated on a play to come back and make another big catch later on in the game.
Right.
Absolutely phenomenal job by Kobe Hudson. Shedrick Jackson did a great job yesterday, both pass catching and blocking. Phenomenal job by him. I feel like we did some really good things in the first half defensively. I liked the effort. I liked the energy that I saw. I still like the effort and the energy in the second half. I don't like the execution much at all. But just listen, great job by players going out there, putting it all on the line. We as fans need to figure out how to be appreciative of that effort that they give and not be so down on them. And I hear a lot of people talking about, man, football season's over. I'm just going to focus on basketball now. There's still 2 games left. I'm still going to be cheering super hard and super loud for Auburn for 2 more weeks of this season, and then whatever bowl game we have. I've not moved on. We'll still be here delivering War Rapport content, even if it's not for a potential SEC championship game, any of that sort of stuff. I'm still here. I'm still loving my team. I'm still supporting my team, even through very tough losses like yesterday. So I feel I'm probably more at peace today. I probably ain't going to do too much like yelling or any of that kind of stuff today. But I do, I feel disappointed in some of the fan behavior. Like, it's just like, man, I get it. Y'all are upset. But I don't know, man. Like, I would love to see how well some of you all perform on your jobs, for how quickly you want to see other people fired for theirs. So anyway, critiquing and asking somebody to be fired, definitely different things, right? Like, you're allowed to critique someone's performance. Saying you don't deserve a job, get off of my football team, a little bit different. So anyway, that's it. That's all I got.
Brandon Lucas, Nick Saban's first year was 7-6, wasn't it? Yes. After his bowl win, he was 7-6. He was 6-6 on the regular season.
He actually lost his Georgia State game that year.
Yeah. Lost to La Monroe. So what I would say is that there's nothing wrong with being critical.
Yeah.
But if you guys recall, like when we gave picks, like I was the more bleak person in terms of predicting our record, and I wanted to be wrong about going 7-5. I really wanted y'all to be like, "Hey, C-Dub, explain the 7-5 business after going 9-3 or 10-2." Like, I would have loved to have to explain that rather than saying, "Hey, we're looking like a 7 to 8 win team, right? At best." But to me, I felt like the improvements that have been made, I wasn't sure if it was going to actually manifest in wins, because I see what programs like Arkansas is doing. I see what programs like Mississippi State they got better this year. They're getting better.
Yeah.
Like these teams like Ole Miss, they're getting better. I know we still see them as the cellar dwellers that they've been over the past several seasons, but they have upgraded their coaching. They're getting better. And so even though we're going to improve, we're still going up against teams that are improving themselves. How do we match up? Does that equate to more wins for us. I wasn't quite sure in year one, but I like some of the things that we're seeing offensively. I like the fact that we look prepared going into games. We didn't always look prepared in seasons past.
Right.
So those are things that are encouraging for me. So again, there is some things to take from that is important. And I know it's disappointing. I was disappointed. Very disappointed. It was a cold walk from that stadium. I would have preferred to have walked away from that cold stadium with a dub. I get it. But there are some positives to take from it. And we'll talk about that later. Let's go ahead and discuss our University Ace Hardware tools to the game.
The University Ace Hardware. Tools to the game.
I'm not quite sure what yours are, Ike and B. Will, but I mean, it's clear to me the story of this game came down to adjustments. This game was going one way for us, and after watching this game, I saw the adjustments take shape towards midway through the second quarter. Even the last touchdown we scored, it was a lot tougher than the previous ones. Mississippi State started bringing pressure on Bo. They stopped sitting back. They really start playing aggressively downhill against the run and just attacking. And even on the play that was thrown by Kobe Hudson, amazing one-handed grab in the back of the end zone. But there was a lot of pressure on Bo, but they were not giving Bo time to throw the football. We were still executing and making plays. But I saw a difference in the game plan with Mississippi State. I saw that Mississippi State saw how we were defending them in coverage. They made some tweaks, and then all of a sudden the floodgates began to open up. So the adjustments that they made was the turning point, and I think that spoke to a large degree as to why even we were nervous. Like I wasn't quite as nervous, but I began to feel it. I began to feel like the last thing I needed to see was Mississippi State get up. I mean, they were on their way to scoring again at the end of the second quarter. They just ran out of time. And so
Which I thought was kind of trash for them to even attempt to score again. I was like, what is the point of this? There's not enough time for anything.
Right.
You should just kneel us out. But whatever, hey.
You know, Leach doesn't.
Leach is different. Leach is different.
Yeah.
But seeing that and then seeing the lack of adjustments defensively for us, I think told a story as to why this game ended up the way that it did. So we'll talk more about the offense and defense, but for me, it came down to adjustments on Mississippi State's part and the lack of adjustments on our part. B. Will, what's your University Ace Hardware tool to the game?
My University Ace Hardware tool to the game was just defense. It was defense. It was pass defense. We could count on the defense up to before yesterday, to keep us in a game, to give us a chance at any game that we played. And for some reason, yesterday was the day that the dam broke. It was bend and don't break, and then it was broke. It broke. And I still never minded that it was bend and don't break because the point total was low enough for the other team that our offense could win that game. There has not been a game before Mississippi State where it was not possible to score enough points to win the game. Yesterday was the first time where the defense just got whooped. And it was confounding. It was the reason that we lost that game. There was a lot to look to. That was the best game I've seen Bo play ever. And it wasn't because his completion percentage was outrageously high. It's because he had to make tough throws and he made them. It wasn't because guys were just running wide open. That last drive where we scored the touchdown, he made throws that had to be made. Guys helped him out and made catches that had to be caught. That was the most, you earned that. That was the pressure on you. The wide receivers are covered, but you guys made it happen, and we absolutely had to have it to stay in that game. Not running around, I'm crazy, I'm scattered, and I don't know what to do. The offense did plenty. 34 points is enough to win a game. It should be enough to win any game that we play if the defense is doing their job. The defense did not do their job. That was the key to the entire game. The offense slowed down second half. Yes, sure, they did. Could they have possessed the ball to keep the other team's offense off the field? Sure, they could have. If I scored 34 offensive points, you got to help me out. You got to help me out. And yes, the refereeing did affect the defense's ability to get off the field.
Sure.
It did happen. It absolutely happened. That is unfortunate. I felt like we had at least 2 stops that if the game was called straight up, would have gotten our offense the ball back, would have gotten our defense. They
gave us one and was on the way giving us another until the targeting call.
Right. So I know that affected that. Still, that was still, if we get those 2 stops, that's still the worst defensive game that we played this year by far. Sure. So that's on the defense to me.
Ike, talk to me, man.
Yeah, University Ace hardware tool to the game. We will definitely get into this. I'm going to echo my sentiments from last night. It's just coaching, man. I just don't feel like we coached a very good second half of this game. I question a lot of the decisions that coaches made during this game. I don't get paid money to be a coach, so I don't know how difficult it is to do it. But I do know I didn't like what I saw as far as decisions being made, outcomes that happened on the field. So I feel like we've just got to do a better job of putting guys, like, for the first time, I don't feel like, and I haven't watched the film again, so let me be clear about that. I don't feel as if we coached a really good game and it was just execution this time. I feel like we made some poor coaching decisions in this game. And it's just got to get adjusted from that standpoint. You know, we're hard on players. When players don't perform up to a certain standard, we have to be the same way with coaches and ask them to do better when they need to be able to do better. So that's my tool to the game. Got to coach better. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Understood, guys. Understood. Well, listen, if you're watching back on replay or if you're watching right now, man, we want to hear from you guys in terms of what you thought was kind of the key to this game, why the outcome happened the way that it did. Pretty sure you guys are already kind of doing it now. But if you're listening to us back on replay, please be sure to let us know what your thoughts are. What was the key to or the tool to the game for you as it pertains to the outcome that we're seeing? So, again, you are watching the Weekend Tailgate. Let's pause to acknowledge the sponsors of the War Rapport.
The War Rapport's Weekend Tailgate Show is brought to you by our generous sponsors. University Ace Hardware, located at 2101 East University Drive in Auburn, Alabama, right across the street from the Auburn Mall and next to the movie theater. For all of your hardware needs, Ace is the place. Our betting partner, BUSR. Bet with confidence at busr.com/report. auburnsports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to auburnsports.com. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, check out our friends at GWT2energy.com. Yes, sir.
Talk to us, Ike.
Yeah, as always, man, if you are not an insider, you need to be doing the deed and becoming a member of the War Rapport. We got a lot of great stuff coming up. $3.99 is the supporter level. We definitely appreciate anyone who wants to support the War Rapport monthly. If you want a little bit more, then throw a couple more dollars on there per month and become an insider. You get to do great stuff like watch the film with us again on Mondays. Even if you missed to watch the film, you can go back and watch all of them on a playlist. That's just a perk for you as an insider to be able to get a little bit more of a look at what's going on with the team. We are giving away this shirts at the 1 hour mark. He gone. Make sure you pop in the chat. Get your weight up. Hashtag get your weight up. Has to be spelled correctly. Right now, I'm looking at 40 people who have taken the time to put their name in for this shirt. We will draw at the 1 hour mark. You know, we are not at home next week, but we will be giving away more tickets. We have Bama coming up in a couple of weeks at Jordan Hare. We are giving away tickets to the Iron Bowl. This is going to be strictly for those who have decided to become members. This is a members only drawing. We're going to be doing that giveaway probably next week. We have some other special giveaways we're going to be doing here coming up soon. So thank y'all so much for the War Rapport family who have been coming in and giving us things that they want to give away to other members of the family. So we're definitely appreciative of that. Special shout out to all of you who are here in the chat today and, licking your wounds with us here, 200 plus strong, still in here talking
Appreciate
Auburn
you
football
guys.
on a Sunday.
Appreciate you guys. Listen, let's talk about it. Let's get into the War Report card. Mississippi State edition. I'm pretty sure we're gonna see some really low grades from y'all in the comment section. So I'm curious to see from you guys, B. Will, Ike Jones, what are your grades for this performance that we had on yesterday? Let's go ahead and talk about. Let's start with special teams.
Yeah, let's start there. We'll save the best for last.
I'll remove this guy because we got a little bit of stuff at the bottom here. So we had no punt returns, all fair catches on punt returns. The little that did occur. And we punted the ball 2 for 91. We went 0 for 2. One was like a 50-plus towards the end of the first half that Carlson missed. And, of course, you had the field goal block in the second half. We attempted a fake punt that was unsuccessful. And also in the first half, we did kick the ball out of bounds on a kickoff. That resulted in a 15-yard penalty. For me, guys, just to be honest with you, my special teams grade is not really all that low because other facets of the game wasn't bad. I think the issues to our special teams center around a specific person that we've been concerned about his play for a few weeks now, and that's Carlson. I'm not mad that you missed a 50-yarder, but it was a low kick on the block and the kick out of bounds. I'm also not necessarily going to give special teams a lot of flack for missing or being unsuccessful on the fake punt because to me, that's going to go into coaching.
Yeah.
I didn't really agree with the block in the back on the kickoff return.
That was terrible. That's why
I did not agree with that
thing.
So when you start looking at it, I think there was one penalty on the kick return, but we did have one good return by Hunter who returned it kind of deep out of the end zone and got to like the 30-yarder. Mm-hmm. So we did have a good kick return. I think that Oscar Chapman, my goodness, we've sung his praises, but he did that one punt that I think was down at the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
Pinned them deep. Like he has been doing an amazing job punting the football.
Yeah.
But when we talk about the woes, it's all stemmed around Anders Carlson.
Yeah.
That's really been the breakdown. And it was especially true in this game. Like that field goal had no business being blocked because he kicked it low.
Yeah.
And that was a very pivotal point in the game. I'm going to give the special teams a C- when you understand where the breakdown was occurring with our special teams. It was really one person. Everyone else, either there wasn't much to be done there or they did their job for the most part. There was really only one hold I can think of in kick return that was really bothersome. But other than that, I mean, it stemmed around the play of Anders Carlson. And I really hope that he can get his head right and bounce back. But that's my grade for special teams. Ike, what's yours?
I'm going to go C- as well. I was tempted to go D+, but like you said, it's more than just one person. And he's a large portion of it, right?
He's a large portion.
Yeah. But if you take in totality all of the things that encompass special teams, like you said, there were some good things that happened out there special teams wise, or there were some things that were non-issues. I agree that
Lines of
the
conflict,
blocking,
that's hilarious. Sorry. No, go ahead, Ike. That's hilarious.
I agree that the block in the back penalty was trash. So I didn't even factor that into my
Right.
grade. If we could give a grade for the officiating, that'd be a whole other thing. But I want to focus on Auburn, not things external to Auburn.
Right.
But yeah, Carlson's just got to play better, man. Like I don't know. I don't so the kicking game is not something, for all the film breakdown stuff that I do, kicking game's not one of those things that I spent a lot of time just looking into, right? So I don't know. I do know on the blocked field goal, right? Low trajectory. He's a little late getting into the kick as well. And the long snapper got beat right over the top, right? So like he was more focused on getting the ball back than he was on actually getting up to block someone in the middle. So that pressure up the middle is just ridiculous to even have on a field goal that short.
Right.
And so there's some things that need to get figured out in the kicking game. And I don't know which portion of that battery needs to get changed out, but some ain't right because the kicking game has been pretty hit or miss and more miss than I'd like this season, stemming back from literally the first extra point of the year, right? Like it's not like it's just this one time. It's been the special teams has been as inconsistent as Auburn has been this year. And so that's a little disappointing that I feel as if we should be able to rely on something as a portion of our team and we can't. So C- at best for me. I'm tempted to go D+, but I'll give a reprieve to the remainder of the special teams. And if I could grade Carlson by himself, I would, but C- overall.
B.
Yeah, I'm gonna go D. For the same reasons y'all said, but I'm gonna grade the result. And we know it's mostly kicking. It's mostly Carlson, but you can't be better than a D when we get a penalty on a drive, on a kickoff like that. How often does that even happen anymore, man? Like this is failures we haven't seen. I don't know when the last time we couldn't get the ball to the end zone or at least just force a touchback. Like that's kind of bizarre to me. Getting 35 yards blocked. I'll never ding a kicker for missing a 55 plus because 50 to 55 is like, okay, if you're really good, you can hit these. 55 plus is like pie in the sky. Like, we're going to give it a shot, but we're not expecting much. So
Right.
I don't knock him for that, but he's got the yips. I don't know if y'all watch Ted Lasso. You know, don't say no. But no, he's something's different. Something's wrong. We do have a backup kicker. At this point, I don't know what you have to lose.
That's Lisa Wise question. Shout
Lisa,
out to you,
yes.
Lisa. Appreciate you.
Yes.
Yes, we do. Evan McGuire. And we've heard great things about him in practice, but we've been riding with Carlson up to this point. So go ahead,
Yeah.
B.
So, like many other positions, I would say, I would absolutely make the argument to anybody who is unwilling to bench a guy who is not performing. If you keep him in and we lose anyway, or he still performs badly, then what do you have to lose by going to the backup?
Yeah.
I said that when it was Sean White throwing with half a shoulder, looking terrible, and we went out and lost the easiest win we were ever going to get against Georgia and Kirby, and we blew it because he wouldn't pull a guy that couldn't throw. Very rarely do you have an athlete that is just as good or better hurt than the guy behind him. I haven't seen that athlete here at Auburn. Maybe Cam Newton in the national championship game, he had tweaked his back, and he was still the best quarterback we had by far. So you let him finish the deal, and he gets it done. We haven't had that advantage in a while, and I'm extending that to kicking. So yes, it wasn't the long snapper wasn't sailing balls over the guys over Chapman's head. Chapman wasn't shanking punts left and right, but the result is we needed those 3 points on that 35-yarder at least. Mm-hmm. At the very least, we needed that so that we had a shouting chance at the end of the game, and we didn't have it. And they not decisively, but they affected the game. Special teams affected the game negatively, so I got to give it a D.
Gotcha. James Barnett, fellas, is this a game that should be graded by halves instead? I think even though we lost, the team still performed. I think for us, a lot of that is taken into account. I think emotionally you want to grade a team by the end result, and that usually will make it lower. But we are taking into account what's happening throughout the course of the game when it comes to these different aspects. At least I am. So that gives it that allows us to be a bit more fair I can't say that I've done that every week, but it allows me an opportunity to be fair when we are grading special teams, offense, defense, coaching. So let's talk about the next stat here. Let's go offense. Offense, there was 27 passes for 43 yards, 377 total yards, and 2 touchdowns. We rushed for 27 times for 106 yards, 3 touchdowns. I know sacks were kind of factored into that. We had 1 turnover towards the end of the game. That was TJ Finley trying to scramble, and we lost that fumble. Actually, we had 3 fumbles total.
3 fumbles in the game, yeah.
But we only lost 1, and that was by TJ Finley. I'm going to be really nice to the offense because they actually scored as much as I thought they were going to score. They hit 34. And if you tell most of us that Auburn's going to score 34 in this game, you have to like your chances considering our offense. And I must say, and Ike alluded to it at the beginning, Bo Nix had a heck of a game. Bravo, Bo Nix. One of the things that we've always compliment him on is the kid is incredibly talented. The kid is amazingly talented. And the kid has heart like you wouldn't imagine. He has a will to win. He's a competitor. And we saw that on display throughout the course of this game. And Bo was not a liability. Bo's mind was right. He came out with a chip on his shoulder and was determined to make up for what occurred a week ago. And he was doing exactly just that. What begins to lower this grade for me, is while I give a lot of love and kudos to Mississippi State for their defense, at the end of the day, Tank averaged 2.6 yards on the ground. He had 41 total rush yards on 16 carries. He was, aside from a few good carries, I know he had 2 touchdown carries, but he wasn't really the factor that we needed him to be, especially in the second half. Our run game was non-existent in the second half. And I look at the fact that we scored 28 points in the first 4 drives. The first time we didn't score was when we missed that field goal by Anders Carlson, the 55-yarder. We looked prepared offensively, and the kids were executing amazing. So I give them a lot of love for what they did. But our run blocking graded out, according to Pro Football Focus, this was the worst graded performance since Georgia. You can argue which one was worse, but this was one of the worst graded performances by our offensive line in terms of run blocking. We didn't do a good job there. There were some issues with, I think there was a snap infraction on the part of Brahms. We were able to convert a 3rd down after that. There were just some things up front on the line that was a bit disappointing in this game. And what allows you to wear defenses down is your ability to run the football on them. That allows you to also maintain your lead.
That's true.
Case in point, Georgia put on a clinic against us on how to keep a lead. They started leaning on us by running the football, and it began to wear our defense down. But if you're stopping us, then it's difficult to wear down that defense. It's difficult to win time of possession when you're giving the ball back because you can't run the ball. And so for me, I'm being nice to the offense because, again, they almost got 500 total yards of offense and they scored 34 points. We should win this game. But there's still some things on this, issues I see offensively that allows me to question the identity for this year's team. We know Harsin wants to be a downhill running team, but this year we are not that. I'm going to give them a B- because it was tough for us to wear Mississippi State down and keep their offense off the field. Sometimes a good defense is a good offense, and we weren't able to keep maintain drives or even win first and second down as a result. B. Will, what's your grade offensively?
B- as well. For a lot of the reasons you stated, me and Ike watching it live, there was a play, Bo took a hard sack, and it was absolutely Brom's fault. The guy just came right through.
Yeah.
Bo, he was not expecting that guy to be there at that moment, and I don't think he should have been expecting that guy to be there. The offensive line's worst game that I could see, and it didn't even take a tape rewatch for me to see it. I was like, man, we can scheme up a good run here and there. Bobo, they do a good job. You pull a couple guys, and the offensive line can find a nice lane like we did it against A&M. We didn't have a 5, 6, 7 yard per carry average against A&M, but what you did see were a few very long runs. When I say long runs, I mean 5 to 9 yards, and that is a really good sign. But the reason we can't do it consistently is because on a one-on-one basis, we can't win consistently. One-on-one. So they got 4 guys. We got 5 guys, obviously. Our tight ends are helping, chipping, getting out in formations, but we can't win straight up. They have to scheme it. They have to help, and that has been a liability. The coaches have gotten around it for the most part, but this was the first week. And this happens in November a lot of times. We've been on tape now with duct tape MacGyvering an offense together, and enough people, other teams got coaches too. They're like, oh, so that guy, he's definitely a liability. Brandon Council has been out. I'm not sure how much we step back with Brandon Council out. It definitely could have played a factor here. They put up 34 points, and that's good enough for a win. The only thing the offense could have done better, and again, this was the offensive line's biggest failure in my opinion, but we needed to sustain a drive or two just to keep them off the field. They had momentum. Mississippi State had momentum. They were driving. We got some unfortunate calls that kept them on the field, and our offense needed to possess it, even if they didn't score any points. A couple more first downs on each of the drives that they had in the third, going into the fourth, it could have made the difference. But I still think it was the offense's best game for a defense that knew what you wanted to do, that was keyed in on you. And again, it was the best game I saw Bo play, not because he completed 90% of his passes, but pressure was on him. And he made throws, guys made catches, and we got a touchdown that we needed to at least kind of stay in that game, to give ourselves a shot late. The end result being what it was is disappointing, and defense was still the biggest failure by far. But the couple miscues, because the offensive line is a part of the offense, because that play where Bo threw it short on third down, we needed 10, and he threw it short to Fromm, I think it was for a 5-yard completion. And I don't know if he didn't know that it was third down or that the coaches didn't know that it was third down and they called a second down play to try to cut the 10 yards in half. I don't know whose fault that was. But that was the offense's shortcoming second half that kept the defense on the field. They got their offense back on the field. So I say B-.
Okay. Ike?
I am going to give a C to the offense. Just a straight up C. First half, up until maybe the final drive, maybe the last 2 drives of the first half, stellar. I thought the offense marched the ball up and down the field. We looked good in the trenches. Bo Nix's accuracy was great. The only thing that stops this actually from being a worse grade is because Bo was hurt. I think that handicapped the offense a little bit more. I might be inclined to go C+ on this just because of that, because I think him not being 100% made the offense sputter a little bit more than it should have. His accuracy was definitely affected by that. His velocity on his throws was definitely affected by that, which made the play calling more limited. I don't want to get back into my coach's rant about the play calling, but but the second half offense just wasn't there. I understand how many points we scored, but when you're seeing that your defense is getting gashed, you've got to go score or at least have long drives to give them a rest. You have to. That's why it's a team game, right? There's 2 sides to that. So I can't let the offense completely off the hook for how poorly the second half was played. especially in the run game. It was just not good at all in how we were run blocking, specifically in the second half of that game. I felt like we had an opportunity to go out there and, with a couple of scores, make this a win for Auburn and preserve that victory. But yeah, it's just second half brings that score way down for me. Like I hesitate to even score the offense for the second half for how poorly they did. And they did have two potential scoring drives, a blocked field goal and an actual touchdown. But yeah, I can't give it more than average, which is a C.
Okay. See how far we can get. Let's talk defense here and make sure we don't have anything blocking here. So the defense was on the field a total of 75 plays, gave up 487 yards. Will Rogers went 44 of 56 for 415 yards. They rushed 19 times for 72 yards. We had 66 total tackles, 50 solo, 2 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, a forced fumble recovery, no interceptions, and no QB hurries. Very interesting there. So defensively, I am going to give the defense, I'm going to give them a C here. I'm going to give the defense a C. I know people want to knock the defense, but this is really a tale of two halves because you can give the defense a complete F in the second half. They were actually playing as well as you could have asked them to play in the first half. The reason why I'm giving it a C is because I'm giving a lot of love to Will Rogers. You hear it in basketball is that it was good defense but better offense. We were in position to make plays, and I think when I watched back on this game, I think we gave up. The defense got behind. Mississippi State got behind our defense, I think maybe 2 or 3 times, or we gave up 2 or 3 chunk plays. But the rest of it was Will Rogers, once they figured out what we were doing in coverage, once we start definitely not bringing pressure, Will Rogers became a doctor and performed surgery on our game plan. Our guys was playing hard. Our guys was competing, making plays. There was some missed tackles. The missed tackle by McCreary hurt in open space. But a lot of this had to do with Will Rogers just balling out. And if we can give credit where it's due when Bo cars up a defense, we have to give credit when Will Rogers does it. I know we didn't give a pass rush, but it's hard to expect a pass rush when you're playing 3 down a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You're conceding that we're not going to pressure this quarterback. You're conceding that. The kids are doing what they're being asked to do. That's it. So again, I'm not really all down. I mean, yes, 400 yards, you can't get a high grade for giving up that many yards through the air, especially if that's what they do. Yeah, that's just that. So that's why I'm giving them a bit of reprieve in this game, because I'm not really down a lot on who we got on the field. I don't think I can pinpoint, even after watching this game twice, a player who really just stunk it up defensively. Really don't.
Simpson was
Simpson got picked on. Simpson had a bad game.
He was lunch food. He was lunch food back there.
That's true. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But I think a lot of this, but again, who's making the throws? It's Will Rogers. Will Rogers just balled out, and we had nothing for him. I'm giving him a C because I don't know against what we were trying to do versus the type of game. I'm not sure what you was expecting those kids to do. Yes, Jalen Simpson perhaps was the weak link in our secondary, but it could have been him. It could have been anyone else lined up opposite of McCreary, and it would have been the same result as far as I'm concerned. So C for me. B Will.
I saw this comment from Spicy, and I like this comment because it kind of plays into what I want to say. We dropped 8 and got lit up by a 2-star quarterback. Now, the reason that's extremely relevant is because I want to highlight what a 2-star quarterback with the right coach and the right system looks like, and why star ratings end up being benign once you get to a certain point in your development on the college level. Can you do what's being asked? Do you have the physical tools to succeed? Do you have a coach who understands what you can do? And a lot of it is going to be, are you mentally equipped to handle that system, the pressure, to read and react quickly? And those aren't necessarily encapsulated in star ratings. Star ratings are more about what you can see. How tall is the guy? How big is his arm? How fast can he run? And, so on and so forth. But we dropped 8. Here is where I would knock the defense. They get a straight up D. I'd say D. You hold them into 10 points and a half. There's some credit to be given there, sure. You got 3 on the line. You drop 8, and you think, okay, if they've got 3, 4 guys coming into routes, then I should be able to stop them, limit them with 3. Mason has been playing this game all year, and to anybody saying fire Mason, that is preposterous, because he is the reason we won in the month of October the way we did, because his defense held people down. We scored points on defense in the Arkansas game. We held them to 12 points at A&M. They've done their job. This was the first time Mason got beaten. So if we're willing to get rid of anybody who has a decisively bad game, then I don't know, there'd be nobody left on the team. We've had bad play at every position, everywhere, all over at different games this year. And I'm not throwing anybody out after a bad game. Nobody. So the D is because when we got 8 guys back there, it's still really easy for them to find open spots. And yes, we played some tight coverage and got flagged for it a couple times. But they just knew where to be. And to me, what it says is that once we were having trouble and struggling with people completing a lot on us early in the season, we talked about how Akron's second quarterback came in, went 13 for 13. Oh, no. Sean Clifford at Penn State, he went for like 28 for 32. What they started doing was not necessarily everybody back there got better at reading and reacting. What happened was they started moving some guys. The people who had trouble in coverage, they brought them a little closer. And you kind of patch it up. You brought a little more pressure. We did get better at pressuring the quarterback over the course of the season. Right now, somebody had been looking. They've got coaches too and saying, I see what they've been doing. A&M does not have the passing offense to exploit our weaknesses. They did not have it. They are not a good passing team. Arkansas did not have the passing offense to exploit our weaknesses. They are not a good passing team. Ole Miss does not have the passing offense to exploit our weaknesses because they are primarily a run team, as they showed yesterday. This was the first team who passes well, who has a quarterback that is decisive and efficient, and a head coach who is great at designing a passing game. That's why this is the first time it has shown itself again since the month of September. I understand why this happened. This is a D, though. You can't. I've seen Jalen Simpson play better coverage than he played yesterday. I don't know if I've seen Roger McCreary miss a tackle until yesterday, which is a phenomenal feat, and he's still first round McCreary. He's going to be the best DB we got in the league next year from Auburn, and that's saying a lot. I mean, you got Carlton Davis, you got Jamel Dean, Jonathan Jones up there at the Patriots. We got some guys, but buddy, the guys who we have been counting on to play well, we didn't get that same game from them yesterday. They had been giving us a certain amount of productivity and effort. The effort was still there, but the results were not. And that is on them. That is on those guys. That is on defensive linemen not being able to win one-on-one. We saw a similar guy, what was it, Ole Miss playing A&M. When they rushed 3 to get to Calzada late, they got home. They actually pressured him with 3. We can't get pressure with 3. At some point, you have to make the decision, and we'll get to coaching. I'm going to send more because I can't do it. But on one hand, I'm thinking 3 and 4 on some of these plays, we should be able to get around the guy, right? And we don't have the guys to do that right now. So, 40 points straight, no pressure, missed tackles, getting burned, D.
Ike?
Oh, man. This is tough because I have to separate what I feel about the coaching performance from the player performance, right? Like that's always the thing when we're giving these grades. You know, which portion of this do I put on a philosophy and play calling, and which portion of this do I assign to the players themselves? And so when I'm strictly thinking about player performance, the first half of this game, I feel like our defense did a really good job, absent of the last Mississippi State drive. But the entire second half of that game, it just got bad. It just got really bad. Like there were so few bright spots, even in player performance. Like again, separating what the coaches did as far as scheme and all that stuff, because we'll get to the coaches here in just a moment. Separating what the players did from a scheme situation, you already mentioned Jalen Simpson. You've already mentioned the pass rush or lack of thereof. Again, I understand we were only rushing 3, but you've got to win at some point in time. Like you have to. There are other teams are winning against us, right? With 3 sometimes. You have to win. You've got to put a guy on his back. You've got to split a double team. Like there just wasn't very much elite play happening all over the field from the defense.
Right.
And then it got to a point where everybody was tired and fundamentals went absolutely out the window. Guys were tackling with just body shots, not bringing their arms to it. So tale of 2 halves, or really 1 half and a play in the remainder of the second half. The best that I can do for this defense is going to be a D+, just because I don't feel as if we did enough defensively with a lead to make this make sense. And again, some of this blame is going to go on the vast majority of this blame for me is going to go to some coaching decisions that put us in bad positions. But I just didn't see anybody out there making a play. And then you do have the situations where the officials screwed us on the times we did finally break through and do something. It was just like, listen, we can't play aggressively on the outside because they're going to call a pass interference on us.
Right.
We can't hit the quarter. Apparently, hitting the quarterback is illegal now. I didn't know that was a thing.
The perfect sack. I mean, form, everything about that sack was legal. That was preposterous, man. That was impossible.
Yeah. So, apparently when you hit a quarterback, you're not allowed to do it unless you lightly tap him or bear hug him to the ground in a loving and caressing manner, as if he were your, I don't know, your mother or something. It's like, oh, hey, Mom, that's the way you're allowed to hit quarterbacks now. So, yeah, I just don't know, man. I feel like the defense, and again, this is not about an effort thing. Like, if any players watch our show, I'm not questioning anybody's effort. I'm questioning execution on stuff. So D+ is the best I could give this defense for yesterday. And that's saying a lot considering how well I think they played in the first half of the game. Just to how poorly I think they played in the second half of the game. Like from top to bottom. Like there's no place, the defensive secondary, I don't really have any standouts, even with Roger McCreary back there. The linebacking core, I just did because those linebackers aren't traditionally playing a lot in space, they were out there getting beat on plays. The defensive line just was getting pushed around a lot. Just wasn't good. That's it. That's all I got.
Yep.
Listen, let's get to the giveaway since we're at the hour mark. So how many we got already, Ike?
Let's see here. 62. 62 whole people.
Hashtag get your weight up in the comment section, guys. Especially if you want a He Gone t-shirt, unless you gone. So
yeah, so we're gonna get to this drawing, man. We're not gonna belabor this too much. I can tell the energy just ain't there today. So it's all good. I'll give you another 7 seconds before I push the button though. And I lied. I'm pushing it now. All right, go. Who's going to be the first recipient of a He Gone T-shirts? Erica.
Congratulations.
There you go.
Erica, you know what to
Congratulations.
do. Make yourself known in the comments so that you can claim this, and we will get your information via email. All right.
Yeah, guys, be on the lookout as I navigate through.
I'll be watching for.
Appreciate that, sir. All right, let's keep on. We at the end of this particular segment. Let's talk coaching.
Yeah.
Some stats here, general stats to give. Mississippi State had 31 first downs to our 22. They had 5 penalties for 40 yards. We had almost double that for 86 yards. Time of possession, 35 minutes on a part of Mississippi State. And this is a team that throws the ball, y'all. Just let that sink in. Third down conversions, Mississippi State 3 of 10, Auburn 50%, 6 of 12. Fourth down, Mississippi State was perfect. We were 1 of 2. And in the red zone, Mississippi State was 6 of 7. We were 4 of 4. Again, a lot of my issues for this game wasn't really so much directed at a lot of the players, even though you could pick out some guys who did not have their best game. A lot of my issues in this game were coaching. A lot of it was coaching and the decisions that were made. What I like about this coaching staff is the fact that we do look prepared going into games. I can tell that this coaching staff actually watches film of their opponents, game plans around that team's weaknesses, and attempts to attack their weaknesses. So we saw that. We saw Auburn come out and look competent. But the issues here in this game was in the manner of adjustments. Now, offensively, we saw them continue to try to do some things that they were doing in the first half, throwing on first down, play action on first. They was doing that in the second half, and we were actually still moving down the field. But the issue that I mentioned is that because we are unable to effectively run the football, and as Mississippi State was adjusting, it's difficult for us to keep our foot on the gas, and we will begin to stall out. It's difficult to adjust when against good defenses, we just have to throw our way down the field at times. And so the frustrating part with the offensive staff is that I was in the box, so I didn't see that Bo was injured until you guys was hitting me up like in the chat. Mm-hmm. I had no clue. When I watched the game again, knowing and understanding that, I saw a quarterback who, while, again, his heart was there, he wanted to compete. Nothing wrong with that. But I saw a quarterback that could no longer plant on his injured foot to make accurate throws. I didn't see a quarterback who, when pressure in the pocket breaks down, could escape and extend plays. I didn't see a quarterback who you can use in the read option to take the pressure off of your running backs who are struggling to get yardage. The whole element of what he brings to your offense is gone, and you need to score points. Mississippi State is on a roll. You need to keep your defense off the field. I know that this has been very controversial, and oftentimes we catch a lot of flack for at least giving the backup a shot at times. But if your quarterback is hurt, this has nothing to do with Bo's inability or ability. He's hurt. Right. He's no longer can do for your offense what he's been able to do in the past. I'm saying give TJ a fair shot. Not when the game is over and you gave him a few snaps and he's trying to make something happen. Give him a fair shot. You trusted Oscar Chapman to make a play before you trusted TJ, who bailed you out of Georgia State.
Yeah.
When has Oscar Chapman bailed you out to give you offense? Tell me when. And then you're asking Bo to roll out on a bum leg to make a 2-point conversion.
Ooh.
Okay, you can make that decision, but that play, if you want someone who can make the throw, give him a chance. I'm not saying TJ makes the throw. I'm not saying he bails you out. But you gave other people chances to make a play who definitely didn't deserve the chance. That's a poor decision. Defensively, we talk defense here. According to Pro Football Focus, Will Rogers was 3 of 6 when he was under pressure. When he was blitzed, yes, he was 11 of 16. But when he wasn't blitzed, he was 30 of 38. Statistically, you have a better shot blitzing him. I know he's still dangerous when he's in rhythm. But even in the first half, we were getting pressure on Will Rogers. And he was out of rhythm then. So if you're Derek Mason, I know that you've been stubborn and harping on the fact that we need to execute. But we are losing this game. The offense isn't moving the ball the way they once was. You can't sit back and rush 3 linemen with a quarterback who isn't the best rhythm we've seen them perhaps all season and not bring pressure. Dropping 8 is not the answer at that point. You have to go after him and hopefully throw off his timing. The decisions that we made in this game put our guys in situations to where they did play poorly. If they're playing bad, let's adjust. That's what Mississippi State was doing. They were playing poorly. Their coaching staff adjusted, and then they were put in positions to execute. Execution is always going to be a big issue with us. That's what Harson's been preaching all season. But to me, much of this loss was about the coaching staff than it was these players. They didn't have the best game. They'll probably be the first to tell you that. But there were some decisions made that guaranteed that they were not going to improve in some facts of the game. So my grade here at best is a D+ for the coaching staff. At best. You can give it a D or D+ here. Take your pick. I didn't like what I saw when things broke down. I've given Bo Nix a lot of a hard time for how he handles those moments. I don't think our coaching staff, when things went bad, we didn't handle this well. And we got the outcome we got. Right?
Yeah. Again, tale of two halves here. I was very high on what I thought Mike Bobo was doing in the first half with the offense. I don't know that I liked a single thing he did in the second half. We talked about this a little bit. I don't know who to blame about the 3rd down completion that goes for 5 yards. What I do know is that the play call shouldn't have had a 5-yard out route included in it when it's 3rd and 10. Like what's the purpose of a 5-yard out route on that play?
Right.
Like I just don't. So even if Bo Nix has no clue what the down and distance is, which I don't know how that's possible when you're calling plays into him, why does the play call include a 5-yard out route to a tight end, not a 5-yard speed out to a wide receiver who can turn upfield? That make sense to me from a play calling standpoint. If you go back and watch my rant from yesterday, if you want to hear how I feel about the coaches overall, having considered all of that, I'm gonna keep this brief and just say this is an F coaching wise. I don't have nothing nice to say about the coaching job we did in this game. I feel like we did a good job to get guys coming in and prepared, but the lack of adjustments erase. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a young freshman on Auburn University's campus who was really smart in high school, and he came to Auburn and he had a 3.8 his first year at school and was like, college ain't so difficult. And he started slagging off. And he ends up with a 2.7 after that. I'm talking about myself. Because I felt like it was all good. But my overall grade drops not because I did well the first year, it's because of how poorly I performed the subsequent years. You have to continue to be good in order to be good. You can't just do it for 2 quarters. You can't just do it for 1 game here, 1 game there. For this game in particular, I do not feel like we did an adequate coaching job at all. F. F from me.
B.
Yeah, I'm going to go D. A 28-10 lead at half is, if you had asked us at halftime to give a grade, what's the grade? I don't know, is that a C, B? It works. They had started getting a little momentum. Mississippi State had. They completed a few passes, got down the field, got a touchdown. We could kind of see it coming. Me and Ike were talking like, I don't know, man. If they score on this drive, they get the ball coming out, they score 28-17, ain't really what we need to be seeing. And then to see that kind of happening, like getting walked down, that was like, Michael Myers just walking to you full speed, you pumping bullets into his body and it's not stopping him. Like that's kind of what it was. Like that was that was a nightmare. Everybody's saying 28-3, oh, we the Falcons. No, because the Falcons gave it up in a quarter, buddy. It took us 2.5 quarters to give it up, which is wildly different. But it was still the most, I can't say it's the most embarrassing loss. I was here for 2012, and I was here for South Carolina's game last year, Tennessee 2018. We've seen some bad losses because there were teams that had no business being on the field with us. And that's not what we saw here.
Yeah.
However, y'all have highlighted a few of the things. The decision on the fake punt, the decision to call the play that you did when we needed 10 and the route was 5. They played that as if we just needed 5 yards to get a better spot for the field goal kicker.
Right.
Too many people were unaware, but ultimately it is on the coach to say, hey, here's our situation. Remember that. This is your primary read. Mason has decided we're going to do it my way. I don't think he has the guys he wants or needs. One of the guys that he did want was Kaufman, and Kaufman didn't play great either, playing the run or in coverage or really in his pursuit. And Ike pointed that out to me. It's great watching the game with the film guy because you see some things you might not have seen live on your own. But
I gotta be probably like top 3 most annoying people to watch games with. I'm sorry. I'd be like pointing at the screen. Like I'd be doing all kind of stupid stuff, man. My bad. Yeah.
But the decisions the coach has made, and really what Derek Mason is dealing with is something that everybody everywhere is going to deal with at work at some point. And that is you're going to be responsible for something, but you're not going to have the exact equipment you need to get it done. So you're going to say, I'm going to do it my way, even if I don't have exactly what I need to do it, because at least I can be happy with the way I did it. And if I can see that my way is not the best way, it will be a failure for me, or at least principally in some way. And if I'm ever going to get the job done the way I can be proud of, I have to stick to what I think is the best way to get the job done. He has made that decision with the personnel that we have. I think that's why we haven't seen some people on the field at all. Drayshawn Miller has not been on the field. Yeah. Now, he's a cover guy, from what I understand his skill set was. And he's now on the field. Zone is hard to play when you have guys who have been playing a man defense their entire college career. We have guys that are good at one thing. I think McCreary has adjusted well, and we've needed his aggressiveness and his athleticism at that position when we did want to go man a few times. I mean, that was great once we decided to man up on Ole Miss. It made a difference. We needed a guy who can play man that way. to say he doesn't have the guys is not true. He doesn't have the guys to do what he wants to do. So I'm with UC. If I don't have the guys to cover when I got 8 back, that's a failure. I have failed. I don't know what there is left to get out of this situation by continuing to play 8. I'm sending 6 at you. I might send 9 guys at you. I might send 12 guys. I'm going to jump out the booth myself and make sure I'm another guy on the field. Just to say, Will Rogers, you got a lot to look at, buddy. If we are going to go down playing aggressive defense, if we're going to go down for getting flagged on ticky-tack fouls, then let's send the house. There has been very, very, very few situations I have seen since I have been paying very close attention to Auburn football where playing conservative has actually worked. 2017, we went down to LSU and played the best game at LSU that we have played in the last 20 years outside of the Kenny Irons game where he ran for 200. And that's including the win this year because those years were against better teams. And we took foot off gas and we lost the game. We played conservative, lost the game. I don't want to, let's keep Sean White in there because I trust him. Yeah, we lost the game. Keep this kicker in. We've been riding with him. We lost the game. Or he lost the kicks. He missed the kicks and we lost the game. Being conservative and sticking with what you've done when it's not working has been a recipe for disaster through multiple coaches, through years and years and years. And that's almost with anything. Being able to adjust quickly and definitively is the best thing you can do because you're going to lose. So are you going to lose having actually tried something different, or are you going to lose doing what you already did? I would always rather lose having tried something different. Principally, I understand why he would make the decision to not change off his strategy. I would be rotating bodies. I would be putting new pass rushers in the game. If, you know what? You guys are winded. I can see that. So-and-so, get in the game. I don't care. Dylan Brooks. Hey, red shirt's over, buddy. We got 2 games left. We got 3 games left. Well, 2 games after this game. 3 games regular season. 1 game, pie in the sky SEC championship. But hey, man, listen, this is it. We need this game. I want to put everybody on that line who I think might be able to make a difference and make sure I tried everything to affect the situation. They didn't do that. So I'm going to say D-. I think I said D. I got to say D-, man. Coaching, you can't leave things in the pocket. I can't wonder what might have happened if I had sent the house. Yeah. I don't want to think that. Do everything you can do, and you didn't do it. D-.
I was actually talking to the guys about this before the thing, my Eye of the Tiger. I ain't seen it. I hadn't seen no Dexter's Laboratory, Frankenstein monster defense with all of this exotic stuff that I thought I was going to be seeing. And maybe it's because they can scheme it up, but guys can't execute it. And that was a lot of the problems that we were having earlier is I want to do all this exotic stuff, but the guys who I have on the field, they aren't doing step 1 right. So I can't take them to step 15 of exotic stuff to try to be able to do that. I do think that that's a little bit of it, but I would have liked to see what I do appreciate is we talked about this earlier in the season. The defensive line is doing more stunts up front. You're seeing them play more games with how they're bringing blitzes from whether it's up the middle or some guy off the corner. And I get Ed Darby. You said this yesterday. I didn't miss it. I know a blitz is not 4 people. I'm just talking about someone besides your down lineman coming from somewhere to rush a passer. So I know it's not the technical term for blitz, but besides the technicality, bringing other rushers from different places into a quarterback's vision or into the offensive line's blocking scheme. I've seen some of that. I haven't seen a lot of mixed coverages on the back end that has Will Rogers wasn't confused at all in the second half of that game. We did absolutely nothing to confuse him or those wide receivers with what we were doing. The offensive line had a beat on what we were trying to do. That, to me, is scheme and coaching. Again, we already talked about the defense. I think that they need to win some stuff, but at the same time, you've got to put people in positions to execute something or put the offense in a position when you're a defensive coach where they at least are scratching their head with oh, I didn't see that coming. I don't know what that was that they were running on that play. And we didn't do none of that. So, yeah.
Okay. Well.
And yes, the irony is that we are about to draw again on the first drawing ever for the shirt for He Gone. So
Well, it was a
She
she,
didn't want
so,
a she
you know, I
gone.
get it.
She did not want a he gone shirt. Maybe
Apparently.
I
that's what
get
it
it.
was.
I get it, Erica. That makes
sorry,
sense.
sorry, Erica. I'm hitting the button again though because you ain't here. So, who is going to be the first recipient?
Sorry, guys.
William Hazard. I feel like William's
Bill
won
Hazard.
before. Has
Have
William
you?
won before?
I know he's in here all the time. I don't know if he's won or not.
We will see. We're gonna move on. We still got another segment. So if William, if you're here, drop it in the comments. Super chat
I'm
here
looking.
from Philip Coleman.
I'm
our
looking.
Oh, somebody said she was here. Anyway, Philip Coleman, our D fit right into the Mississippi State scheme. They don't. Oh, I'm thinking you were going to go dink and dunk down the field. Leach was licking his chops. Their offense was pass first. Yeah, so this is true. This was like a worst nightmare for us because we are the type to just let you throw stuff underneath, and Mississippi State is like, fine, I'll take that all day. We'll just continue to do that and complete stuff down the field. The offenses we've faced before just couldn't be patient enough to take advantage of it all the way to points.
Right.
And then the ones that were able to do that, we were able to figure something out in the red zone, tighten up and force field goals or force fourth downs, turnovers, whatever we needed to do. That just did not happen in this game. So it was kind of a perfect storm of them having the right type of offense and though they're a majority passing offense, they're still very much a ball control offense.
Right.
Time of possession is a thing that they've been owning all year, right? It wasn't just this game. So definitely just a perfect storm to go against that defense. Another super chat here. My Eye of the Tigers. My point was if Mason doesn't have to, who he wants or needs, he didn't. Yeah. He didn't indicate in the offseason. I don't disagree with that at all. Again, I'm agreeing with you. I haven't seen the mad scientist stuff. Like I hope I didn't sound like I was disagreeing with you. I was just saying that I know it's probably difficult for him to call some of that stuff in the game. But to your point, I need to see something. If it ain't working, then listen, step one ain't working. Well, y'all ain't doing this right, but it ain't working. So I need to figure something else out. So I do want to be able to see more. But I do think though that and I've talked about this before kind of off screen. There was an indicator there that our defense did not have the right people with how many DBs they were trying to recruit.
Yeah.
That should have been a telltale
our
sign.
Yeah.
It should have been a sign when they were going after the DB so hard. It should have been a sign to say they don't like the talent we have in the defensive backfield. And we had guys transfer out, right? So it wasn't like we didn't have bodies. They were just like, listen, you're not going to crack the starting rotation here.
Yeah, they hit the portal hard.
Yeah. So
And what's so weird is that even with hitting the portal, some of these guys, like Ro Torrance, you mentioned Dre Miller, but you got Ro Torrance. Like it's just been interesting to me. Even with the guys you did get, they haven't seemed to crack the rotation and be what you needed them to be in pass defense. So
which to me that is a bad indicator for our ability to evaluate talent. But I do understand that they were in a pinch trying to make some stuff happen last minute. So I'm not ready to say you can't do this. There's too much evidence to prove that these defensive minds can do it because they've done it at other places, even in the SEC. Like we can say what we want to about Vanderbilt. Their defenses always were
tough,
decent with Derek Mason. They just never had any talent. And he's been a great D coordinator in other spots.
That was the best part of their team. That was the best
So-
part of their team. Their defense was
Right. So I'm not ready to say, pack your bags like a lot of people, but I am ready to say, listen, we got to see a vast improvement year 1 to year 2 quickly. So yeah.
And isn't that when we would expect it? Year 1 to year 2? You know what? Maybe being in the race in November before we played A&M was kind of, I think we needed to remember where we were and where we were coming from. We have been bemoaning the culture and the talent deficit at offensive line mostly, somewhat at quarterback as well, and at wide receiver. Those were real things. We thought we had guys who could be developed to being better players. I think again, both groups that we said were all three groups, quarterback play, wide receiver play, and offensive line play have all improved, but they all had ceilings. We were working from behind a little bit, and I think we need to be remembering that. But this is not the end of the program because we had an embarrassing loss. Like, that's not what this is. I remember we lost to South Florida at home under Tuberville. Everybody was like, what in the hell? Who is South Florida? Right. It was, the guy's name was Matt. Man, I remember that game. Man, I can't remember the quarterback's name, but that was embarrassing. That was embarrassing. Whew, man, that was embarrassing. But we do this, a new coaching staff. I mean, they got in here and had to start grabbing guys who wanted to leave their other schools. That is not how you start off. That's not how you build your program to run your system. You're just doing what you can with what you got. And they did decent. I think if we get to 8 wins, I don't know how this wasn't a successful turnaround. I'm not that down on them because this is just one game in hindsight. It's one game.
Yeah.
Sure. Lisa Wise, appreciate you. It has been frustrating to see the defense get teams in 3rd and long and repeatedly wide open receivers convert. I'm with you. It's been frustrating as well. But again, we're doing some things a lot differently than we've had in years past. I remember one of the biggest complaints, and this happened this year as well, is guys getting beat and not turning their head. We saw a lot of that early in the season, but now because we're playing defense differently, guys are wide open, getting wide open in our zones because we're not playing the zone correctly. So it's like, take this frustration and move it over here because we're doing things differently, right? So I'm just curious to see what improvements are made if guys catch on. I felt if it appeared to me early on in the year that for all the talk about the team learning a new offense, these guys, as talented as they are learning a new defense.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And the learning curve is going to be pretty steep for them as well as the offense. And so there's going to be some growing pains. There are going to be days when they don't look like they've learned a thing. It's just going to be interesting to see what happens in year 2. So, all right, guys, let's talk about it.
Hold on. We got to do this again. I'm not waiting forever to do this.
No, he's here.
I ain't see. What did he say? Oh, shoot, boy, we will just save your bacon, cuz I sure finna push the button again, man. All right. Where's my, email us. Okay. We need your size, all that jazz, business at the War Rapport, so we can get this over to you ASAPidly. All right. Now we can do it. My bad.
All right.
Y'all
ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What did we see?
I saw after that game, covering the game, dropping in to say hey to B. Will and his lovely family. Ike was there as well. Dapped him up. Good to see you guys. Hit the long road home. Mm-hmm. I didn't see a lot of football, but I got to see the inside of my eyelids. I went to sleep, all right? Okay? I'm tired, all right? Tired. I didn't see much. I did notice that Ole Miss beat A&M. I don't want to get into B. Will's point, but I did see the struggle game that was LSU in Arkansas. Mm-hmm. I did see those. I checked the scores of those. I don't know about you guys. It's tough to watch football after a really disappointing Auburn loss for me. So I checked in and saw what was happening. I even tried to watch a movie to take my mind off of it, and the next time I opened my eyes, it was Sunday. So I got to watch the inside of my eyelids. That's what I saw. And I don't regret it one bit. B. Will?
Well, actually, hold on. Let me go because I saw the same thing. I ain't see nothing. I didn't see anything else in college football. I wasn't trying to look at anything else in college football. I think B. Will and I started to watch some of that Tennessee and Georgia game, but that was it, man. I'm not even going to lie to you and pretend like I tried to look at anything else. I came home. I watched the Legend, Shang-Chi, the Legend of 10 Rings on Netflix before I went to sleep, and woke up this morning and started working on content for today. That's it. I don't even know the scores of any other games from yesterday. I didn't look at the scoreboard. Nothing. Nothing. I saw nothing else in college football yesterday. That's it.
That's funny, Ed. It said I assembled furniture. It's very productive. Like I can't even do yard work. Like goodness gracious. What'd you see, B?
Well, I saw a very competitive SEC West. Really a competitive SEC West. If I take all 14 teams and line them up top to bottom, I think Georgia, we would all agree, is the only team that could be considered elite this year based on what they've done on the field. Bama, A&M, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Auburn, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky are really all within shouting distance of each other. I know you all play, everybody's going to play each other. Most of the people in that group will play each other, and there will be some different results. Like, I don't think LSU is a better team than Mississippi State, but LSU beat Mississippi State because football is an every week game. Anything can happen. There's different schemes, different players, injuries, everything affects that, but it's really balanced. And a lot of it has to do with the coaches that we brought in over the last 3 years. Leach at Mississippi State, even if he isn't a great coach, he's very good at one thing. And if you give him the guy to pull the trigger that's good at that thing, it's going to be trouble. It's going to be trouble. And it has been trouble for us over the last 24 hours. We've seen that trouble. Lane at Ole Miss, he's dicey. I think Lane's a little overrated. I said that on the Wednesday show before I picked Ole Miss to beat A&M because you know who I think is more overrated than Lane? Jimbo Fisher. All right. But Lane's a good OC, and he's going to get to a place where he can get better talent everywhere, every stop he makes, which is why I'm sure he's going to leave Ole Miss. Whether it's this year or next, he's going to go and get more money and get more talent so he can do better things. But it's competitive, man. We brought in guys who at least had an idea. I think they got the old O-line coach after Hugh Freeze left. What was his name at Ole Miss? That was a head coach. He was an interim, and then he got like a year to be a head coach before they got rid of him.
Luke Fickle?
Matt Luke.
Oh.
Yeah. See, like he wasn't a good coach. You know what I'm saying? Like we were a really good coach. Mississippi State,
he's a good O-line coach, but
right.
no, he's not
a good
a
head coach. Joe Moorhead at Mississippi State, he wasn't a good head coach. You know what I'm saying? I am glad to see it be competitive because what it means is that. Yeah, Jimbo. I very much enjoyed that. Him over there looking like, well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah, shut up. You can shut up. That's what you could do. But, yeah, I'm glad it's competitive. I am glad that there is more competition around here. It strengthens our conference, and what it should do is going into any playoff system that we have or may have in the future, there should be zero doubt if you come out of this thing having won it or having been really competitive and just missing it, you probably need to be playing for a championship, which is why I'll never be upset that we have such a tough schedule. I would love it if Georgia and Alabama weren't two of the three best recruiting teams in the country and having to have them on the schedule every year. Like, I would love to have had Florida as our permanent SEC East team this year. That would have been great. Awesome. Play them early so people can think it's a decent win, and they don't realize till later that it was really fake. I mean, wow, Florida. But, yeah, I like what I'm seeing from the conference. I like the strength of the conference. I think that bodes well. I'm a little concerned about letting Texas in here. But
you know who I blame for everybody still believing in Florida?
Who?
Alabama.
Yeah. They played them close, and people thought that was significant. Yeah. They really didn't know that Bama was just
That's
not
worn off,
good.
too, when you see what LSU did on the road against Bama. So that should be lost as well. So,
yep.
Appreciate that, B. You're the only one of us who saw something worth mentioning. I don't care. All right, take us out, man. You got some last announcements for us?
Listen, as always, we want to thank the people who make this show happen. So, of course, University Ace Hardware is the sponsor for this particular show. You guys make sure that you go and shop with them. BUSR. We can't say this enough. If you are into sports betting or you want to try to get into sports betting, make sure you hit up busr.com/rapport, and you can get a little bit of this money. Betting with B Will is happening on Twitter every week right now. Check us out on our podcast if you are the type to want to listen to the War Rapport anywhere else besides on YouTube. We are on all these podcast places. If you didn't win a He Gone t-shirt, you can go and get one from the store tomorrow. I will have that available tomorrow and along with the rest of our lovely merch that you can use to support us. Speaking of supporting us, we want you to become a member of the family. Tomorrow, we are going to be getting down into the nitty gritty of this film, figuring out what exactly went wrong. The film does not lie, people. That sometimes will lie to you and tell you some stuff. Your friends on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook sometimes will lie and tell you some stuff. That film is going to tell you the truth every single time. So if you really want to get into and dig into what happened, become an insider, and we will get down with that together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, good sir. Todd John, I think he headed out, but I like this idea. He says on the back of the He Gone shirt, it needs to say, and you know who double dribbled. I like that. I like that idea. I like that idea. Guys, again, thanks for hanging out with us, man. Over 200 of you guys hung out with us to kind of discuss this game. I know it was tough. It's even tough watching it again, too. Trust me.
Yeah, I know. That's why I didn't.
But we will be reviewing it again tomorrow with the film review. Ike and Mike will be breaking it down as they always do, doing an amazing job. But guys, in the meantime, if you're watching this live and on replay, share this video on social media. Please be sure to use hashtag #GetYourWeight Also, get the thumbs up, like the video, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. As far as social media goes, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The War Rapport. And if you're out there on TikTok, we're at TW Rapport as well. That's it for now, guys. But we have a great week of content lined up for you guys, so stay tuned. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.